The person who just walked out of your life didn't leave. They were removed. And the reason is something you're not ready to hear. I know that sounds heavy. And right now, it probably feels like a hole in your chest. You're looking at that empty chair, that unanswered text, or that sudden silence, and you're asking yourself what you did wrong. You're wondering how someone could go from being your everything to a ghost in a matter of 24 hours. But here is the psychological shift you need to survive this. What you're calling a loss is actually a forced eviction by a higher intelligence. It's a karmic intervention that stepped in because you were too loyal to a situation that was designed to destroy you. You didn't lose them. You were liberated from them, and the reason it feels so jarring is that the universe had to move faster than your heart was willing to let go. Think about the empty chair psychology. When someone exits your life abruptly, your brain naturally rushes to fill the void with what-ifs and if-onlys. You start romanticizing the past and editing out the red flags. But stop for a second and consider the hidden mechanics. What if their departure was a security breach protocol? In the digital world, when a system detects a virus, it doesn't ask the user for permission before it quarantines the file. It just acts. That is exactly what has happened to your social circle. You are being upgraded, and your old software, this person is no longer compatible with the new operating system of your life. They were a bug in your code, and the karma you didn't see coming was the firewall that finally kicked in to save your hard drive. This brings us to the concept of the vibrational glass ceiling. Every single person on this planet operates at a specific frequency. When you start doing the work, the therapy, the early morning gym sessions, the career pivoting, the deep meditation, or simply choosing self-respect over temporary comfort, you are raising your vibration. You are essentially climbing a ladder. The problem is that many of the people currently in your life are standing on a lower rung, and they have no intention of climbing. For a while, you can reach down and hold their hand, but eventually you hit a glass ceiling you cannot go to. The next level, while holding on to someone who is weighted down by unhealed trauma, laziness, or bad intentions. If the universe allowed them to stay, they would eventually pull you back down to their level, or worse, they would cause a catastrophic derailment of your progress. Imagine, your life is a high-speed train heading toward a massive destination. Every train has stops. Some people are meant to get on at stop A and get off at stop B. They were never meant to see the final destination. They were passenger spirits. They provided conversation for a few miles. Maybe they shared a meal with you, but their ticket expired. If they stayed on the train past their stop, they would be stowaways. They would start draining the resources of the train, your time, your money, your emotional bandwidth, without contributing to the journey. When they suddenly disappear or ghost you, it's just the conductor stepping in and saying, your ticket is up. You have to exit now, so this train can reach its top speed. It's not a tragedy. It's a logistics requirement for your success. You are entering a season of high-velocity growth, and you can't carry passenger spirits into a pilot's world. You've outpaced them, and the universe is simply aligning your reality with your new frequency. Once you stop mourning the shoe, exit, you have to start analyzing the assignment. In the grand architecture of your life, no one is sent to you by accident. Every person who enters your orbit is carrying a specific curriculum. Some are there to teach you how to love, but others, the ones who leave the most marks, are there to teach you how to leave. They are human catalysts designed to trigger a specific realization within you. Maybe the assignment was for you to finally learn how to say no without guilt. Maybe it was to prove to you that you could survive without the one person you thought you couldn't live without. This is the lesson completion phase. The moment you truly integrated that lesson, the moment your soul finally understood its own worth or recognized a toxic pattern, the contract for that person's presence in your life was fulfilled. They didn't just leave. They were dismissed because their job was done. If they had stayed 1 second longer, the lesson would have turned into a cycle, and cycles are where growth goes to die. This sudden departure is your forced graduation. You didn't fail the class. You finished it, and the universe is simply handing you your diploma and clearing the room for the next professor to walk in. This brings us to the most powerful psychological shift of all, the karma of protection. We often think of karma as a punishment for the bad guys, but the most beautiful form of karma is the divine bodyguard that watches over the good guys. Sometimes you are so blinded by your own kindness, your own loyalty, or your own hope for someone's potential, that you cannot see the cliff they are about to lead you over. You are playing checkers while the universe is playing 4D chess. Behind the scenes, that person may have been talking about you in rooms you weren't in. They might have been harboring a silent resentment of your success, or perhaps they were about to make a choice that would have dragged your reputation or your finances into the mud. When you see a sudden, inexplicable exit, you are witnessing a biological firewall in action. It is a preemptive strike. Something was coming, a betrayal, a crisis, or a massive energy drain, and you weren't strong enough to walk away on your own. So the universe stepped in and broke the relationship to save your future. Think of it as a celestial non-disclosure agreement. You don't always get to see the why immediately, because you aren't meant to carry the weight of their secrets or their darkness. You are just meant to be free of it. If you knew what they were thinking, or what they were planning, or how much they were actually holding you back, you wouldn't be crying. You'd be celebrating. This is why the silence feels so loud. It's the sound of a bullet missing your head. This person was a karmic anchor, and as long as you were tied to them, you couldn't float. By cutting the rope, the universe is allowing you to rise to the surface where the real opportunities are. You are being decluttered because you have a massive big win coming. And that win requires 100% of your focus and 0% of their drama. This isn't about them being a bad person necessarily. It's about them being the wrong person for the destination you've been praying for. You cannot pray for a harvest and then get mad when the wind blows away the dead leaves. Those leaves had to go to make room for the fruit. You are currently in the clearing phase. It feels empty, but in reality, it's just spacious. For the first time in a long time, there is room in your life for someone who actually matches the person you've become, not the person you used to be. The divine bodyguard didn't take them away to hurt you. It took them away because it heard conversations you didn't hear and saw a future you weren't supposed to live. You are being shielded by a grace so aggressive it feels like rejection, but in 6 months you're going to look back and realize that no was the greatest yes you ever received. Now that the space has been cleared, you have to stop staring at the closed door and start looking for the new gate. This is the redirection phase, and it is where the magic actually happens. The psychological trap most people fall into is trying to detective their way back into the past. They check social media, they ask mutual friends, they look for clues as to why it ended. But the truth is, the more you look backward, the more you miss the crumbs of the new path. When the universe removes a karmic anchor, it immediately begins planting the seeds for your next evolution. You might notice a sudden, random email about a job you forgot you applied for, a stranger who says exactly what you needed to hear, or a burst of creative energy you haven't felt in years. These aren't coincidences. They are the redirect signs. The energy you used to spend managing that person's moods or trying to fix that relationship has been returned to you. That reclaimed energy is your venture capital for your next big win. You are being pushed toward a version of yourself that couldn't exist as long as that person was taking up space in your heart. Reclaiming. Your power starts the moment you stop asking for closure. In the U.S., we are obsessed with the idea that we need a final conversation to move on. But here is the hard truth. Closure isn't something someone gives you. It's a decision you make. If you wait for them to explain themselves, you are still giving them the remote control to your happiness. You are essentially saying, I can only be happy if you admit you were wrong. But they may never admit it. Real power is realizing that. Their silence is the closure. Their exit is the explanation. By accepting that the debt is paid and the contract is over, you take the remote control back. You decide that the space they left isn't a hole to be filled. It's a vacancy for a higher tier of existence. You aren't lonely. You are available. For the tribe, the partner, and the opportunities that actually deserve your light dot in the end, you have to internalize the ultimate mantra. Rejection is just protection in a very painful mask. If you had to beg for them to stay, you would have eventually had to beg for them to love you, to respect you, or to be loyal to you. And you were never born to be a beggar. You were born to be a co-creator of your reality. The karma you didn't see coming was simply the universe saying, I have something much bigger for you, but your hands are too full of the wrong things to catch it. So let them go. Let the silence be your sanctuary. The void they left behind is actually a landing strip for a massive upgrade. Your only job now is to keep your head up, keep your frequency high, and walk through the gate that just opened. The best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's becoming so unrecognizable in your success and your peace that they wouldn't even know how to talk to the new version of you if they tried.